All right, guys, let's get to it here today at 215-592-9494. You know, this A.J. Brown thing, it's pretty wild. It's almost borderline unprecedented from what I can see as a Philadelphia sports fan. And here's what I mean by that. Guys, and we're going to play a lot of audio today here to sort of support, anything we say, but also just to present to you the facts as A.J. Brown, presented them yesterday. Let me say this about A.J. Brown. First off, I'm completely convinced he's the best player on the team. I wasn't actually convinced of that in 2022. I thought Jalen Hurts was the best player on the team in 2022. And the only guy I think that's close to A.J. Brown, best player, would be Jason Kelce. But I think at this point, when those top 100 lists come out in the next couple months, top 100 NFL players, pretty much no doubt in my mind, A.J. Brown will be the highest rated Eagle.
Lane maybe.
Kelce and Lane will be out there. Yeah, but I mean, it's A.J. Brown.
It might not be, man.
Who do you think?
I think Lane could be like a top 15, top 20 guy.
He's never been that, and it's not like he got better.
Well, what has he been historically? I don't even know what.
Probably in the 30s to 60s, and maybe he was shortchanged. But here's what I'm getting at. I'm totally convinced that A.J. Brown means well. I am totally convinced he means well. I am also convinced that he's a great dude. I've heard that from so many people, and everything I see about the guy, he seems like a super nice guy. But the way he answers questions fairly consistently throws extra fuel on the fire. And yesterday, frankly, with a series of interviews he did 2 different interviews, 2 that we know of at least, no exception. I mean, maybe he's just too honest and too forthcoming for his own good, or put another way, for the team's own good. Let's get to something he said yesterday. He's doing an interview with someone from Sports Illustrated. Yeah, they actually do still exist, even though at some point they're not going to exist. Listen to this yesterday from A.J. Brown. He's talking about and being asked about the possibility of being traded. And, man, he just listen to this.
AJ, your name is out there a lot with people talking about, what might be going on behind the scenes, what the organization's plans may be. What do you make of all that? Is that just noise in your mind?
I've been through this before. I'm a vet at this point, So if something happens, my phone will ring, and I'll be waiting. If not, then I'll burn my time.
But you're prepared, obviously, to be catching passes for the Philadelphia Eagles next season.
I'm prepared to focus on my family at home and get better in the offseason and just see where this thing go. It's chatter, though.
It's just, man. And I do believe it comes from honesty, and I believe it comes from forthcomingness. It comes from the opposite of player speak, coach speak. Like, a lot of times you get these, pap answers that are like nothing. And to his credit, to an extent, he doesn't want to give the public that. And I admire that on a certain level, but it also seemingly causes problems. It's like he's too real. It's like he keeps it real, and as a result, he keeps putting gasoline on the fire. So look, I'll ask everyone your reaction to what you just heard at 215-592-9494, and what to make of this whole A.J. Brown situation, including where it goes in the future. John, any part of that you want to take on?
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
I'm not concerned about A.J. Brown right now. I'm mad at A.J. Brown for lashing out through the media. I'm not worried about the season.
I won't say lashing out.
February.
He didn't lash out. He just talked.
For talking, for going this route.
Going
through the media to, have some ulterior motive addressed. I'm not concerned. He's a diva. We knew that. Nick Sirianni, though, here's an opportunity to show your stuff. We know that your job description was dialed back a little bit this year, but part of what you do really well is that interpersonal connectedness. And you've talked about how important that is to this team. Now you've got the star and the quarterback who are, who have a complicated, long-lasting relationship. You can get in there and you can help. This is a big part of your job, facilitating relationships within that building. We saw on the field at times this last season, AJ fighting with Jalen, during the season on the sidelines. It affected the way our team played at the end of the season. I do think that had something to do with the swoon.
No question in my mind.
And so, of course, we need to get this fixed. It's clearly not fixed. It's not a good day when you find out your diva wide receiver has a couple national media hits and you have no idea what he wants to get off his chest. But let's be real, it does seem like he needs to get something off his chest. It hasn't looked as cohesive and coherent at the NovaCare facility over the last 6 weeks of the regular season, and now this offseason, it didn't feel like they had a great plan moving forward. I know it's come together now, but AJ moving forward is a competitor diva who is effective in part because he's a diva, and that's just the way it is for wide receivers. This is how he operates. It's dramatic. I have faith he's an incredibly talented player, and we need him. I am concerned that the drama affected our play. He's not happy with someone down there. I know Jalen's one of the people, but it seems like there could be a lot of people who've got a lot they need to get off their chest. I didn't like what AJ did. I didn't like that it had to be like cryptic when he talked with Robin Lundberg, when his answer was, I'm prepared to focus on my family and at home and get better. Yeah. The question was, you're prepared to be catching passes for the Philadelphia Eagles this year, right? Like this is an opportunity to just answer very clearly, yes, I am. This is my team. I'm excited. It's the start of the season. It's February 1st. It was January 31st yesterday. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not create mystery where there isn't. You and Jalen and Nick and everyone in that facility need to pull it together, and you're a huge part of our plans here, AJ. We need you dialed in and right, and we need your relationship with this quarterback to get right.
Unless he's not a huge part of their plans. Because here's the thing. I think there probably is some smoke. It might not be a fire yet, but see, here's what I think's going on. I think the quarterback and the wide receiver are on the same page. I don't know it for certain. I've heard a lot of rumblings. I've heard people privately reference it. I tend to believe it. I think
Jalen's not going anywhere.
Well,
that's the thing. Isn't going anywhere either.
Well,
like from a practical perspective,
I would agree with you.
Like when we really boil this down, like the money, the contract,
that's right.
That really does hold a guy when he's owed as much as these guys are owed.
Well, it's a huge part of the equation. You know, I will see. I'll tie this back into Sirianni. I remain convinced. Now, a lot of people might disagree with me, and obviously, we can take your phone calls at 215-592-9494 on all aspects of this. I shouldn't say convinced, but I would say I remain strongly leaning in the direction of believing that Jeffrey Lurie chose to retain Nick Sirianni because he believes Jalen Hurts was more culpable for this season's failures than the head coach, Nick Sirianni. I believe that. And I connect dots, and I hear a player in A.J. Brown, who is obviously dissatisfied with any number of things, who obviously thinks he could be traded. He thinks he could be traded. I mean, that's out there.
What makes you feel that way?
Because
I don't feel that way.
Because
I look at the
because he was asked.
Well, I just look, Joe, from a practicality perspective.
You're
it's unrealistic.
You're conflating issues. There's the issue of whether they should. A.J. Brown was asked yesterday, are you preparing to catch balls for the Eagles? He didn't say yes.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks there's a chance he could be traded. I think
I don't agree with that necessarily.
I think you're reading it wrong.
He understands.
Why wouldn't he just say yes?
So, yeah,
why wouldn't he just say yes?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Hold on. Why wouldn't he just say, yes, I plan on playing?
No.
I plan on catching passes for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Because he's a diva. Because he's being dramatic.
Do you think he's just causing problems to cause problems?
Because he's feeling hurt. He's upset. There's something he wants addressed. He's got a problem with the way things are happening down there at the NovaCare
But, John,
facility.
if you ask Patrick Mahomes, after this game is played in a week and a half, do you expect to be the Chiefs quarterback next year? He's going to say, of course.
Yes.
I hear a player who thinks he could be traded, whether it's really soon or in a year. I hear a player who, So to me, here's the deal. The way I say it,
$42 million in dead cap.
Let me tell you the way I say it. The Eagles got to keep A.J. Brown, and the reason they have to keep A.J. Brown is they have to have two things going on here strategically. Number one, they have to instruct A.J. Brown how to answer questions differently, even if he's frustrated. Because his let's pour more gasoline on the fire is not it's not worked.
Yeah.
They have to instruct A.J. Brown to answer questions differently, even if he's frustrated, even if he's right. That's number one. Number two, they have to try.
That'll never happen.
Number two,
I don't think.
They might not. He might be too keep it real.
And again, that's just like the wide receiver diva thing. It persists.
But they absolutely should try to do that. Number two, they need to try to improve Jalen Hurts on the field. They need to try to improve Jalen Hurts off the field in relationships with others to try to fix what I am convinced is a less strong relationship than it was 22 months ago when they acquired him, to try to improve the relationship between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Guys, I am convinced there's an issue there. I know there's going to be some people tell me there's not.
No.
I'll take the calls. We'll take them. But I am convinced. I hear player after player support Nick Sirianni publicly, except for Jalen Hurts, when he didn't have a great support of Nick Sirianni publicly. I saw the owner keep the head coach. I mean, to me, it does take some connect the dots. And look, we'll take your phone calls at 215-592-9494. I think the players are mad at Hurts.
I think that's possible. I think it's likely in some cases, in the AJ case, of course. But Jalen told us last year that winning was all that mattered. Winning is what mattered most. It does feel as though these squabbles, you need to put these behind you. This
Might not be easy.
This is your best friend.
I can be easy. Well,
and this is for the better of the team.
Was are two different things, John. I mean, I saw Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez be close. I saw Jeffrey Lurie and Joe Banner be close. I mean, I've known all sorts of people in my life who were best friends and no longer.
Totally.
I've seen it a million times.
Jeffrey Lurie and Joe Banner is a perfect example.
Great example.
It's a perfect example.
I mean, there's a million examples of best friends that break up. 215-592-9494.
Jalen needs to put his focus on this friendship and rebuilding it to create the possibility that this team can move forward.
I agree with you.
They need to be right for this team to be right.
I agree with that. Where do you stand on all of this? It does involve some connect the dots. It does involve some leaps where you don't exactly know everything. But what do you make of it? We'll play some additional A.J. Brown audio from yesterday for more context. We'll get to some other audio through the show as well that was very notable in recent days. And certainly we'll rock all your calls. Joe DeCamara, John Ritchie, what do you make of it? 215-592-9494.